So we've completed day one of Music Pro. Really got to hand it to the organizers. I don't know if there's volunteers, if there's staff, if there's paid people involved, or if it's all just volunteers or mix, or some of the MI staff agreed to help out at this event. So I'm not sure. And the reason that would be significant at all is because it seems like this is the quality you would expect from people who are properly being compensated, or at least receiving something to do their work right. So that's a compliment to what everything that's been happening at Music Pro 26 so far. A1, I've enjoyed myself. I'm still a little bit sick. Went out to eat some Korean food after the fact. Don't worry, I'm not upchucking. Even to make that reference is a little bit questionable here, but I did feel a little bit sick afterwards. So it was technically delicious, or at least I think it was, but it's on the other hand very hard to tell because I feel sick almost immediately afterwards. So I have been largely keeping to kind of a liquid diet. I'm not eating a lot. I'm eating about a meal per day. And this has been some kind of bug. I want to say it's some kind of bug, but so at the conference, I feel like I set the groundwork for some good conversations tomorrow. Today, I certainly captured some B-roll. I captured a couple of interviews. I think that's a reasonably good start. And because I was kind of told to go with the flow going in, even though part of me is like, man, I should just capture as many interviews with as many people, as many conversations, get as much content as I possibly can out of this experience. The other part of me goes like, you know what though? Go with the flow, really. The conversations that happen, that need to happen, will absolutely happen. Honestly, there's some people that if I didn't track them down right then and there and grab them by the arm and ask them for a conversation, it's not going to happen. But realistically, there are multiple sessions happening simultaneously with different presenters, so it's not like I can grab the arm of all those presenters anyway. So at the end of the day, I would love to have conversations with all of them. That's just not going to happen. So I'm thinking I've set reasonably good groundwork for tomorrow and the day after. Follow up with those, and then anything up on top of that, maybe it's just icing on the cake. Maybe. But I'm aspiring to more than. Today I had 2, and I guess that's the point. It's like 2 is pretty good. I think I was anticipating maybe pulling off a couple more. Would love to see 4 in a day. But on the other hand, I think I want to be okay with that not necessarily happening, because it may not necessarily happen, as it were. But it's been good. I've enjoyed the sessions. Here's the weird thing, right? Like, we watch things online and often feel like, oh yeah, like I've heard this before, I know this, or there's nothing to be gained from actually going into somewhere like MI and classroom or session rooms and learning something. No. There's just something different about the live experience. There's something different about the camaraderie, the experiences shared, the passion shared, especially among musicians. I don't mean to say just musicians, because that's not my intention, but like, if you're at a creative conference, you would connect with the creatives. There's a special bond between the type of artist you are, and musicians have a bond with other musicians or other music business people or other industry people who generally talk about music or are involved in the law of music in some way, or in the charts, whatever it might be, management, whatever it might be. There is kind of a special bond there among the people who experience it, live in it, make an income from it, treat it as a passion or hobby or whatever. their end goal might be. Steve Vai is great. Steve is one of those people who invests in personal development and treats it with the value it deserves to be treated with. He doesn't come out right out and talk about books or personalities. He's talking about what he has learned. That's powerful. And who knew it could just be framed that way, right? It's an interesting thought exercise here in the music business, at least. You could talk about marketing without saying the term marketing. You can talk about entrepreneurship without saying the term entrepreneurship. You can talk about personal development, or what you've learned from it at least, without talking about or mentioning the term personal development. I also only made it to 2 sessions today, but my buddy Justin Longo did show up for an interview. That was fun. I'm glad he came. I'm glad I got to meet him in person. I'm glad we got to have a conversation. Then I did manage to catch the session with Mike Fink and DistroKid, and I think what he did there was really good. Like, he brought in 3 younger female successful or reasonably mid-tier successful artists. I don't even know what mid-tier is, but I guess the definition might be someone who's got 60 to 70,000 followers on Spotify or streams per month or Spotify, not sure which one, but people in that kind of category who are actively building fan bases and touring and performing live and promoting their music actively and are doing reasonably well for themselves. So that was the panel, and I thought that was good and a good way to approach a session without necessarily having to create a whole lot of content. Okay, so I did make it to 3 sessions, yeah, because the third one, or actually I think it was the second one that I made it to, was with Mitch Glazer. I did manage to capture an interview with him as well. So that was really cool. That one was about AI, and I think him and I kind of see more or less eye to eye on the issue that AI isn't the exact threat that people perceive it to be, but there are things to be worked out for sure in numerous areas, but one of them being copyright. I'm personally heartened to hear that. And it's not just in music. I've noticed in self-publishing, I've noticed it on YouTube. The trend is towards not allowing the monetization of AI-generated content. And it's either a thing of you have to disclose which parts of your video or song or book have been modified or created by use of AI, or it's a thing of you cannot claim copyright over something that was AI generated in its entirety. And I honestly think that's the way it should be, because you can't really claim yourself, as far as I'm concerned. I know some people will be offended. You can't claim yourself as an instant creator because you used AI to generate a book. It just doesn't work that way. You prompted it, you asked for certain things, it gave it to you. It's just a fancy text generator. It doesn't know your story unless you gave it your story. But even then, can you trust it to tell it in a way that's as passionate, as impactful, as full of energy as you're going to be? And I think that's honestly one of the points that Steve Vai was making as well. And other than that, it was a lot of kind of hanging out outside. I had another friend show up at the event. I hung out with her for a while, so it was one of those things where we kind of a whirlwind. I did not make it to some of the stuff later in the night with the networking. I honestly don't know how many people actually went to that. Maybe a good chunk, but definitely not everyone. And an after party of sorts. So I didn't really make it out to those. But being that I feel a bit sick, being that I just got in yesterday and didn't sleep that well last night, and I'm a little bit tired. Maybe I don't look too tired or even sound too tired, but I'm kind of there. So it's time to wind down for another night and prepare for another day. Did it feel like work? Maybe not too much, but a little bit, because again, I'm not feeling my best. But I think if I was feeling my best, I would be enjoying this more. I know that I enjoyed myself at DIY Musician Conference a lot. It's possible that my perspective has changed on travel. Like, I am very frequently sanguine about exploration, walking a city, trying different foods, happy-go-lucky, and just really generally feeling great about that. And although California is a kind of a familiar theme in my life, it's not like I come here every year, but this year twice already. There's a certain amount of familiarity with where I am, even though Hollywood's not a place I've been until now. There's still a certain degree of familiarity with the locale, having been to California and LA and San Diego and all along the coast. Good chunk of the coast anyway. And at the same time, maybe that sense of novelty and dopamine hits doesn't have to be part of every journey either. And necessarily having that expectation is always useful. Or I've just hit a different phase in my life. That could also be it. There's nothing wrong with this phase. But it certainly does not mean I'm not enjoying myself. I think in some ways too, it could be that I'm getting better at setting boundaries or just knowing my own limits. Actually honoring myself if I am tired, or actually honoring myself if I am sick, because tendency previously was certainly just to power through everything regardless of what was going on with me. I never wanted anything to be